Extra, read all about it. The headline of today is that the wise men from the east, they go searching for the one. Now, you might have heard that, and you probably wouldn't have known that I was crutchy in Newsies in high school. I didn't put on my accent. I should have done it a little bit better than extra, read all about it. Remember, I told you I wasn't going to do that, but I lied. I've been waiting. I'm not kidding. I've been waiting. Like Advent, Christmas season is all about anticipation. I've been waiting for the opportunity to be able to do that. But today, as we continue on with this message series, looking at the story of the birth of Jesus and the significance that is there, today we look at these wise men, or some translations would call it the Magi, from the east, go searching for the one. They go looking for the one. They have heard about, the Messiah they've been wondering about for generations. They've been told about, and far from the east, they go searching for the one. Not a person, not somebody, but the one, the Messiah, Jesus, the one who would save them from their sins. Today we pick up our story, and Jesus again has been born in Bethlehem, a small little town about 5 miles south of the great city of Jerusalem. And at this point, the King Herod is reigning over the land. This baby has been born. There's been a census that's been taken, and Mary and Joseph have gone to be counted in their country. Joseph is from Bethlehem, and so he returns to this little town during the reign of King Herod. And then we hear about these Magi, these wise men from the east, who are looking for the one who has been born King of the Jews. Now, what you might not know is culturally and contextually, these wise men, these Magi, they came from the east and they come to Jerusalem and they go to King Herod and they ask him, where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? Contextually, what we need to understand is King Herod is the king of the Jews currently. That might have been a little bit of a problem because King Herod is all about power, all about authority, all about who he is. And these wise men from the east are coming and asking the current king of the Jews, where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? This would have been a problem. And yet King Herod, he is so about his authority that he plays it cool in this moment, and he tells them to go and to find the baby and report back so that he can also go and worship, knowing all the while he wants to go and kill this one who is claiming to be the King of the Jews. Now, when we hear about these wise men, we hear about the Magi. If you have seen your nativity scene, maybe it sits on a table or on the mantle, or if you're super old school, it sits on top of your TV. Anybody still got a tube TV that you're setting your nativity on top of? Anybody? Nobody. Man, I don't know how expensive it is to get rid of those tube TVs, man. We've still got one in our basement that we're just waiting for the moment to get rid of. Nativities have all of these things, animals and Mary and Joseph and the shepherds and the angels. And then how many wise men are there? 3. Do you know how many wise men actually were at the scene? No idea. No idea why we came up with 3. Just culturally, we decided 3 is a good number. Let's pick it. The song, We Three Kings, no context. No idea inside of Scripture that it says that there were only 3. What I would believe is that they brought 3 gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And so we thought, well, if there's 3 gifts, there's probably just 3 people. We have no idea how much gold, how much frankincense, how much myrrh they brought. We have no idea. It's probably believed, scholars believe there were probably hundreds of them. Hundreds of Magi who would have traveled from the east to find the one who has been born King of the Jews. It wasn't just 3 guys showing up the day after Mary was giving birth. We picture these 3 wise men showing up, but it was likely an entourage. It was likely a whole community of people, like maybe over 100. And no, they didn't arrive right in the delivery room as Mary was finishing. That's not how it happened. They traveled hundreds of miles to come and to see this baby. They believe it may have been all the way up to even 2 years after Jesus was born when these Magi show up. I often imagine this moment right after Jesus has been born and like they're ready to catch baby Jesus, but they're not. They are there after everything has kind of settled down and calmed down. The wise men came to Jerusalem and they asked this: "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." Where is the one? The one who has been born King of the Jews. We saw whose star? His star. They saw a star in the west for them that they wanted to follow and go and find it, and they have come to do what? We've come to worship him. We've come to worship the one who has been born King of the Jews. The only one. We have traveled a great distance to come and to worship him. Now, what you need to understand about these magi, about these wise men, is we would naturally believe that they were followers of Jesus, that they were followers of the way, that they were followers of God. These people were irreligious. The wise men were not religious people. They were not churchgoers. They weren't even into spirituality. They weren't even into God. They were into astronomy. They were into stars. They were into zodiac signs. They were into all kinds of other things. They were just simply men of profound wisdom, curious minds, if you will, fascinated about the world around them. Not religious, not churchgoers, not into God. They studied stars and planets and science. They were thinkers and seekers. They were explorers. And again, we find inside of the story unexpected guests around the birth story of Jesus. Not the likely candidates who would have shown up in the story of God. We're told they came from the east. Where is the east? From Jerusalem, where is the east? I think it's easy to just think like, oh, they came from that way. Isn't east always to my right? No? They just came from the east, right? Well, let me put it a little bit more in context for you. East would, according to historical records, would have been Babylon. And so this is what it would have looked like. In ancient day, Bethlehem is on the left-hand side, Damascus north of there, and then you have Babylon way over to the east. And you might be wondering, well, why is the path going north? Why didn't they just go point A to point B, where there's a massive desert between point A and point B? And so they would have followed a natural trade route all the way up north and come down through Jerusalem. To give you a little bit of scale, you have scale on the bottom. Bethlehem would have been about 5 miles south of Jerusalem. So when they came to King Herod and said, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star and we followed it," they would have found out that he is in Bethlehem, and they would have found out it's only 5 more miles. Like, I imagine they'd be like, boom, we've been traveling for days and days and days. Now, to put it into a more familiar category, this is what it would look like today. This is what the walk would look like today. It is in modern day, current day Iraq. That is where they would have started their journey. You see Baghdad at the top. They would have begun their journey there. It would have been about 235 hours of walking is all. Just if they walked 24 hours a day, just a handful of days, it probably would have taken them a handful of months to make this journey. 1,156 kilometers. If you break that down, it's a little over 700 miles. Now, I don't know about you. Put yourself in the position of the wise men hanging out in current day Iraq, hanging out, and all of a sudden a star appears, and they're like, oh, that is the star that belongs to the Messiah, to this God that has been talked about. Let's follow this star just a measly 700 miles across the desert. Go to Jerusalem, go to the president, go to the king of Jerusalem and ask him, we saw a star and followed it 700 miles. Where is the king who has been born, King of the Jews? Now, I don't know about you, but see a star in the sky. Are you packing up the family in the grocery getter and gonna drive 700 miles to go and see something? You have to understand that there was a significant curiosity, a yearning to figure out where the truth lies. These wise men, they saw a star and they followed it for a measly 700 miles across the desert, across the trade routes, for months and months and months, hundreds of hours, hundreds of people, hundreds of meals, hundreds of challenges to come and to find the one who has been born King of the Jews. Remembering all the while, these were not religious folks. They weren't into God, but they knew that something significant was happening west of where they were. 700 miles they took, and they were searching for the one. Why? Who? All it tells us is they were searching for the one. Why were they searching for this one who had been born King of the Jews? It says, that last section, we saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him. Friends, an encounter with Jesus can only be responded with by worship. The only natural response to encountering Jesus, to encountering God, a holy God, no matter what context it is, the only natural response, believer or unbeliever, religious or irreligious, person who has been going to church their entire life or who hasn't been to church ever, an encounter with the living God, the only natural response is worship. We've come to worship him, to bow down. I mean, think about it. This group is highly cultured, intelligent people to have traveled hundreds of miles, not because they were devoutly religious, trying to just check a spiritual box, if you will. No, instead, they came because they were human. They were curious. And they were searching. They were searching for truth. They were searching for meaning. They were searching for the one. Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? Friends, one of the clearest things I have found in every single human being is this deep sense and desire of searching. Looking for something more than themselves, to be a part of something bigger than themselves. There's this restlessness, isn't there? To look for something more, to seek out something more. This longing for something beyond ourselves, reaching for something more. And honestly, we hear ourselves talking, and we look at our world and we think, man, we are so advanced. We are so enlightened. We are so intelligent. We are so wonderful. And yet I don't see that our searching has diminished, that our searching for something more has declined. It hasn't stopped. If anything, our desire to search for truth, to search for meaning, has actually grown in the midst of finding counterfeit versions of what we've been looking for. To live in a world that continually overpromises and underdelivers, we go and we search and we search and we search and we hear that, oh, go here and do this or have this. And finally you will find, if I only had a little bit more or a little bit bigger, or we moved to this place or had that relationship or that job or that person, then finally I would find that meaning I've been looking for. All the while we find those things and we find ourselves continually looking for more. You see, these wise men, they've been looking and searching all of the universe and all of the stars and all of the planets. They've been searching in astronomy for purpose and meaning, and yet they see this star rising and they've come to worship him because they are searching for the one. Why? Because they haven't found it. And everywhere else they've been looking, they're still longing to find meaning. They're still searching. No matter who you are, no matter how young or old, male or female, no matter your background, no matter your life, no matter your income, no matter your influence, every human being is searching. We're all looking for something more, reaching for something greater than ourselves. For us today, oftentimes this search is challenging because we don't know what we're looking for. We're grasping at anything and everything that the world says might give us the meaning and the purpose that we're desiring. And yet we don't know what we're looking for. What's different about us versus these wise men is the wise men know what they're searching for. In Matthew chapter 2, it says this: they went on their way, and the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was, where Jesus was. And when they saw the star, they were filled with joy. They entered the house and saw the child with his mother, Mary, and they bowed down and they worshiped him. Then they opened their treasure chests and they gave him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Now the Magi, they knew, these wise men, they knew exactly what they were looking for, what they were searching for. More than what they were looking for, they knew who they were looking for. And they found him in a little baby in the arms of his mother, or maybe running around terrorizing his household as a 2-year-old. We're not sure what the timeline is. But these wise men, they followed the star and it led them straight to Jesus, to the one they had been looking for. And when they arrived, it says that they were overjoyed, that they were overwhelmed with joy, that they had found the one. And what did they do when they encountered Jesus for the very first time? They bowed down and worshiped him. The only natural response to encountering Jesus is to bow down and worship. Friends, when we experience something amazing and incredible, when we see something incredible, our human desire is to naturally focus on it and to praise it, and oftentimes even to worship it. It's a natural human response. They bow down and they worship him, and then the next thing that they do is they show and they worship him, not only through bowing down, not only through giving reverence to him, but also by giving back to him, by giving generously back to him, by giving him gifts. It's why we give gifts at Christmas, to be reminded that we give because we have been given everything. You see, these wise men, they knew that they have been given everything they've ever wanted, and they return back to Jesus a portion generously back to him. They give gold. In this day and age, gold would have been a sign of kingship. Gold was dedicated for kings and queens. It was the chief measure of wealth in this day and age because it was scarce and had incredible value. And when they give him gold, what they are saying is, you are the King of kings. Because friends, Jesus is the King. The ultimate King, the King of kings and the Lord of lords. And we see it in the gift that the wise men give him. The second thing that they give him is myrrh. Myrrh is a strange gift, okay? If you're looking for something to give your wife or your husband or your friend, myrrh is probably not it. Probably not the best gift that you could give. But ceremonially, at this point, this would have been significant because this is showing that Jesus is a servant, that he is the spotless lamb. It would have been a valuable, like gum-like substance that they would have had. Myrrh is mentioned 17 times in the Bible, and it's used as an anesthetic. When Jesus is hanging on the cross, they mix myrrh into what they're trying to give him to drink to allow his pain to decrease, and he denies it and declines it. This wine mixed with myrrh we see when Jesus is on the cross. Most importantly, and most commonly, myrrh was used to embalm dead bodies. Probably not the sign you want to give to your spouse this Christmas. Probably doesn't quite give the motive that you're trying to give this Christmas. Maybe it is. I don't know. They gave him myrrh, which represents that he is the servant, the spotless lamb. Myrrh was also the thing that the priests would have used in the sacrifices of the lambs prior to Jesus being born. They would have given a burnt offering to the Lord in the sign of a lamb, and the priest would have sprinkled in myrrh, and myrrh would have produced the smoke that would have gone off from the altar to show that the prayers of the saints, that there would have been this atonement for the sins of the people, as it raised up into heaven by the smoke of the myrrh being burned. And then Jesus is offered myrrh at the end of his life to represent and to show that he is the ultimate spotless lamb, that gave his life for you and for me. And then finally, he gives frankincense. These wise men, they give frankincense. And I consulted with my essential oils advisor this last week, and I've heard all about it and understand what frankincense is. Frankincense is virtually the Swiss Army knife of essential oils. It does basically everything. If it ails you, just sprinkle a little frankincense on, and poof, you're magically healed. That's how it works. That's all you need to know today. So if you're looking for that, go ahead and pick some of that up. It'll fix everything that ails you. But it was used also as an antiseptic, therapeutic. It's very expensive. This is a practical gift that would have helped to treat sickness and wounds. It also would have been mixed in with the priests on the altar for the sacrifices of the lamb. It's symbolizing the prayers of God's people, symbolizing that he truly is the king and the servant and the Lord of all things. But don't miss the heart of these gifts, because we're told that first they bowed down and they worshiped him. And they declared in that moment that with their actions that Jesus is the most valuable thing. He is the one that they've been searching for all along. The message was clear. Jesus, we're laying everything down. We're laying everything down before you. This gold and this frankincense and this myrrh, we are laying down our wealth. We're laying down our influence. We're laying down our intellect. We're laying down our security. We're laying down our everything before you as we are bowing down, and we are saying with our actions that you indeed, Jesus, you are everything. You are the one. And my challenge for us today is, are we willing to lay everything down at the feet of Jesus, who is the one, who is the King, who is the Lord, who is the Messiah? Are we willing to lay down our lordship of our own lives before the King of Kings today? Are you willing to do that? Because friends, when we encounter Jesus, the only natural response is to bow down before him and to lay everything at his feet. When we understand the significance of who he is and what he has done. Friends, the truth is that so much of our lives we spend looking and searching and hoping to find it, don't we? That thing that will finally give us meaning and purpose. And so oftentimes we don't even know what it is. But here's the truth. Jesus is the one we've been searching for all along. Jesus is the one we've been searching for. He's the one who brings meaning and purpose. Like for the Magi, the craziest thing, it happens for us. These Magi, they thought that they were searching for God, only to find out that God had been searching for them. This is this incredible gift that we've been searching for the one, and all along the one had been searching for them. We see in the life of Jesus that he left heaven and he came to earth. He put on human flesh and he was born humbly as a baby. Why? Because he's been searching for you. He's been searching for me. Jesus came looking for us. He was searching for us. As we have been searching for him, and we come together and we find one another in this moment to see that Jesus has been born. I love the way Eugene Peterson, the author of the Message translation of the Bible and so many other books, he says it this way: God comes. He is not an object at the center of the universe. He is not a fixed point on an astronomer's map of heaven. He is active and moving, and this movement has a direction. He comes to us. We are his destination. He came. Doesn't that give you a little bit of peace in this moment? To understand that we no longer have to grasp at straws and search the world over. That we worship a God who left heaven and came to earth. He came here to meet you and I. To meet us in this place. He came. You and I are his destination. We are the thing that he has been searching for. Every single one of us, like the wise men, are searching for the one only to find out when we find him. When we encounter the living God, when we meet Jesus, we find out that he has been searching for us even before we took our very first breath. Since the beginning of the universe, he's been chasing after you, pursuing you and I. And friends, that right there is the heartbeat of Christmas. That's the heartbeat of the good news of Jesus, that we worship a God who didn't stay off in some palace in some distant land, who didn't stay in heaven. He left heaven and he came to earth for you and I. He's been searching for you and I so much so that God sent his one and only son, Jesus, to the world to find us. Think about that. God sent his one and only son as the ultimate sign to say, I want to meet you where you are at. Jesus is saying, I've been looking for you. Isn't that great? Jesus is saying to each and every one of us, I've been looking for you. I'm here. I see you. I know you. I love you. And friends, maybe today you've been searching and searching and searching and searching only to come up empty. And yet every door you seem to search behind, it seems to slam in your face. And no matter where you turn, no matter what you are looking for, it feels like nothing seems to work out. Nothing seems to give you that meaning and that purpose that you've been looking for. And if that's you today, what I want you to hear is that through Jesus, God has promised to open doors for you and I. In a world that experiences all kinds of doors that slam shut, our God says, I love you. And he opens doors and he opens his arms and he welcomes us in. And he says, I'm here and I still love you. And in me, you are found. You are known. Everything you've been searching for is right here. Friends, if you are here today and hearing the sound of my voice, I want you to know that Jesus sees you, he knows you, and he loves you. And he's been searching for you all along. And what's awesome about this is that we can stop our search. At a small manger in a little town of Bethlehem, at a baby named Jesus, who's been searching for you and I, we can stop searching because he has been searching for you. Maybe for you, you've been following Jesus for a long time, and maybe today is a day where you need to reconnect and recenter yourself, understanding that you no longer need to search the world over to find meaning and purpose. That once again, you can find yourself connected to who he is and what he has done. Or maybe you've been on the fence about following Jesus, and maybe today is the day where you say, I can stop my search. Maybe Christmas 2025 could be a milestone for you. A moment to remember all that God has done, that he has found you. And so I'm going to pray here in just a few moments. And as I do, I want to invite all of us to take our cue from the wise men to understand that we worship a God who has given us a sign, who has left heaven and come to earth, and who has said, come to me. And when we encounter him, to bow down and worship him, to lay our lives, to lay our security, to lay everything we have at his feet, and to say, Jesus, you are worthy to be praised. And so as I pray, I want to invite you to say, Jesus, you are the one that I've been looking for. You are the one that my soul has been longing for. And right now, Jesus, I want to stop the search. You are it. Friends, are we willing to lay down our lives to be able to focus our entire life, our mind's attention, our heart's affection, everything we do and say and pursue at the feet of Jesus, and allow him to go before it and to transform it into something beautiful? Because once again, these wise men, they go searching for the one only to get found themselves. Only to realize that Jesus had been searching for them all along. The one that they had been searching for had never stopped looking for them. And the one that you've been looking for has never stopped looking for you either. Jesus never did and never will stop searching for you. And we see it in the actions. We see it in him leaving heaven and coming to earth for all of humanity, and it's good news today. As we walk into this final couple weeks before we celebrate on Christmas that Jesus has been born, I want us to take an internal inventory of our lives and to see if we're willing to focus our lives on the one who has been named the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, and his name is Jesus. Let's pray. Well, God, I thank you. I thank you for the wonderful gift, God, that you left heaven and you came to earth, and this wonderful gift of the story of people coming and encountering you and finding you and seeking you. And God, we find it in our own story that we have been searching and seeking. And God, being reminded that we can find you when we look with all of our hearts and all of our minds. God, being reminded that you are the one who has searched us out. That you're a God who's willing to leave heaven and come to earth for us. It's an incredible gift. God, I just pray in this moment, the doubts and the questions and all of the distractions that are keeping any one of us from fully devoting ourselves to you, to laying our lives down before you, God, I pray that we would recenter ourselves on you today. God, that if we've been on the fence, God, that we would just declare today, Jesus, I have been searching and you are the one that my heart longs for, the one that my heart has been searching for. And God, I want to give you everything that I am and everything that I have. I give it to you today. Jesus, we love you and we praise you, and it's in your name that we pray.